Saute's unawarded, and as we sit here in the rabbits one day and 20 minutes. Let's go. So I'm Jumbo, them my friends. My name is Elizabeth, and I'll be your safari guide here today at the Harambe Wildlife Preserve. Let's go over safety reminders. Please remain seated, keeping our hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Now, if you look above, you can see an animal spotting guide for some of the animals that we might encounter out here today. Why not get to them all? We're going to get to as many as we possibly can. Now, these are all real wild African animals, not an animatronic in sight, so please be respectful. That means please no yelling, no screaming, no trying to attract them to the trucks. They're not going to respond to things like hissing noises or whistling sounds anyway, so keep those noises about any food and drink tucked away until the end of our safari. You can talk amongst yourselves, you can get excited about our animals, please just don't yell at the animals out here. Looks like the warden has given us the all clear, so let's 2 and 9, starting off our journey in the Little Itchy Forest. Now here we tend to find animals that use camouflage to their advantage. They might be hiding out in the bushes, the tree line, or not hiding very much at all. Have a beautiful copy there on the right hand side. Now, copy are generally very shy, very reclusive animals, don't like to be seen too often. You might think they're related to the zebra, understandable as they have those stripes on them, but they're actually related to giraffes. Having a giraffe-like head shape as well as a giraffe-like tongue. Now they're very quiet animals that actually make infrasonic sounds. Those sounds that are so low they're under 20 hertz, that's under the threshold of human hearing. So that's how they communicate with their young and try to avoid other predators out here. Many of these animals out here will have striping patterns like the okapi. Helps to break up the different colors of their coat. Sometimes looks like sunlight coming through the canopy. So that's part of their camouflage. Looks like I've got a deer-like creature just up ahead. One of our greater kudu will be up there on the right-hand side as we're coming on down. Now, greater kudu definitely look like deer, but they're forest antelope. Stand about 55 inches tall. These are a couple of females, as they don't have any horns. Speaking of horns, they got a black rhinoceros there on the left-hand side, kind of by that back wall. Now, black rhinos are actually very critically endangered. There's only about 5,500 of them left in the entire world. A section a little bit smaller, the rhino species, they're only about 1 to 3,000 pounds. He's got a very sleepy black rhino down the left. He tells black rhino because of the shape of his upper lip. Kind of pointed forward in a triangular shape, perfect for a browsing animal. Now, they have 2 horns on their heads. They're both made out of keratin, similar to what our fingernails are made out of. So oftentimes you'll see them rub up against trees and rocks to try to file those horns down. A couple more greater kudu down the right, as well as our eastern mountain bongo. Now, the bongo are nicknamed the ghost of the forest. They'll rarely ever see them. Horns slapped towards their backs helps them not get tangled up in the underbrush. And they do have those stripes on them, kind of like the okapi does, and that will help with their camouflage a bit. Big black and white birds are just up ahead. It's called saddle-billed stork. Now, looks like that yellow crest on their bill is an English saddle. Now, they'll stand about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan about 8 to 9 feet long. They don't vocalize like a typical bird will. Instead, they use tapping or chattering motions with their bills to get more of a quieter sound. Or just communicate with one another, because that's as large as their flocks are going to get, so they have to just communicate back and forth. Now we're making our way into another habitat of ours. It's called the Safi River. Our animals in the Safi River tend to be a bit more aquatic, so most of them spend the day just underneath the water. Talk about our Nile hippos. See a couple of them there on the right-hand side. They're just underneath the water. You can't see them too well. Don't worry, I'm going to go a bit further down the river. Sometimes we can see some more. Now, Nile hippo are quite massive. They're about 4,000 pounds. Don't let that size fool you, though. They can outrun a human outlet going about 30 miles an hour. A hippo will spend most of the day submerged underwater, and they can hold their breath up to 8 minutes at a time. So I'm looking around here, seeing if I can find some to be walking on the bottom of the river. So what their name is river horses that use the bottom of the river to kind of propel themselves forward. Looks like I do see someone just up ahead, just on the banks of the river. This is one of our hippo calves. This is Greta here. She's probably about 8-month-old, taking a bit of a nap. Baby hippo are about 50 to 100 pounds when they're born. She's probably about 8 to 900 pounds now. They also know how to nurse underneath the water, so they can close their nasal passages, focus in on mother's milk, and not take in the surrounding water. do love to sunbathe up here, but she's definitely not going to get sunburned. They actually secrete almost a red sticky liquid that helps to kind of coat their skin, basically acting as a sunscreen. Little hippo there just underneath the surface of the water. That's like the Nile crocodile just up ahead. Now, crocs can over 18 feet long, weighing anywhere from 500 to 1,000 or so pounds. Now, they mostly eat fish, but they can eat just about anything that comes their way. We can tell they're crocs because of the shape of their snout, a little bit more pointed. Alligators will have a much more rounded snout. They're going to show you the crocodile. They just stay like that the majority of the day. They are hunting right now, just waiting for other animals to come right up to the banks of the river. Don't do much with the rest of the crocs out here though, or the rest of the hippo. I usually will stay right next to the banks of the river, waiting for those animals to come right up to them. Now it looks like we are stopped just up ahead. We're making our way up towards West Africa. Now this is where a lot more of our popular animals tend to be, such as our zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, antelope, things of that nature. Now typically it depends on things like time of day, sometimes time of year, even the weather, as to where our animals are going to be migrating to and from. Seems like right now our animals are really rambunctious, getting all over the place. Well, they are hanging out right in front of our trucks. Now this can be a bit challenging from time to time. We're going to honk at our animals and stress them out. This is their home, so they get to make the rules. However, we still need to keep on moving forward, so moving them out of the way is going to be our priority. We have to do so safely. Food can be a great motivator for a lot of our animals. However, they've learned that if they get in the middle of the way, they will usually get a treat for doing so. Now, that's not the behavior that we're looking for. However, we are slowly making our way to getting a better relationship with our animals and food, especially when they're right on the right path. It looks like from our radio, we're going to be back on the move here shortly, so thank you guys so much for your patience. We are headed on up towards West Africa. This is one of the largest areas in our reserve. It's also called the open savanna. Kind of a mixture between a rainforest and a desert, so it's a very delicate balance between the two. So you'll see about 9 months out of the year, it's raining almost every single day. And the rest of the year, it is incredibly dry. So everything tends to dry out in that time period. Now, one tree does not seem to dry out at all. It definitely looks like it sometimes. It's called the baobab tree there on the right-hand side, also called an upside-down tree. Now, inside their trucks holds over 27,000 gallons of water. That is not only for the tree, it's also for all the animals around the tree. Got a very soft and porous bark animals can rip into to get that water for themselves. So it's also called the tree of life. We're going down into the open savanna here, less and less tree cover. Our animals are very exposed. So we would be if I could see any of them at the moment. They're probably around the corner, right hiding away from us at the moment. The sun is high in the sky. It's around noon right now, so the sun is going to be high in the sky for a while. Our animals are going to try to find any place possible that's a bit more shade, which, as you can see, is a bit challenging. We have Hartman's Mountain zebra there up ahead on our right-hand side. Now, of course, no two zebra are going to have the same striping pattern. Each is very unique, and they can tell each other apart by those stripes. You can also tell if they are black with white stripes or white with black stripes. I'm looking at the color of their nose. More black and white on the nose, they're black with white stripes. Now, they're very expressive like other horses, but they don't neigh or whinny. Instead, they use snorts, chops, bites, barks, and other body language, usually using those big ears of theirs. Their ears are flat towards their backs, while their body shouldn't get too close to that zebra. A little bit further up in their heads, while they're very inquisitive and curious. So you can tell a lot by a zebra just based on its ear positioning. Sometimes we find some predators out here that can be pretty challenging. Most of our predators are crepuscular, which means they're more active in the twilight hours, so late evening to early mornings where they're going to be the most active. Sometimes we can see them sleeping out here. I'm looking out here for you. But if we can't see them right now, that is still a-okay. too much at the moment, but that is again okay. Again, I'm looking at any place that's going to be a little bit more tree cover. With the exception of our giraffe, everyone is looking for a nice shady spot to relax today. You have some sable antelope on the left-hand side. Now, sables have those horns in a crescent moon shape towards their backs. It will deter predators from jumping on them. They're some of the bravest of the antelope species, not afraid to go up against very large predators if they have to. Now, these are Maasai giraffe. Giraffe are the tallest land mammals in the world. Maasai giraffe are a little bit shorter, but they're about 18 or 20 feet tall. And they have those very gorgeous, jagged edges to their spots. So there's a lot more space in between those spots. Reticulated giraffe spots are much more defined and so a little bit larger. Now, being the sentries of the animal kingdom, they are constantly on the lookout, making sure that there's no predators nearby. As such, you're really going to see them laying down. If you do see that, though, that's a good sign. It means the giraffe are feeling very comfortable in their homes. They're not feeling threatened. Don't do that for too long, not even to go to sleep. In fact, a giraffe will sleep standing up and needs only about 20 minutes of sleep in total a day. If you ever see a giraffe not doing anything for a moment or so, it's probably taking a little nap. So it takes small 1 to 2 minute naps throughout the day. They get a lot of their hydration from the leaves that they eat. These trees will kind of transfer all that hydration through their leaves. So they rarely ever have to drink water. It takes them a little bit of time to get all the way down towards the ground to drink water. So you gotta splay on their front legs to give them a lot more balance. The reason they love to stay upright, their necks are built the way they are to stay upright almost the entire time. They have 7 vertebrae in their necks, the same amount that us humans have. Of course, theirs is a lot larger and a lot more flexible than ours too. Coming up around the corner here, I have a couple different animals. We got some wildebeest and some Ankole cattle. The wildebeest live in some of the most densely packed herds of any other mammal in the world. Around 800 to 1,000 wildebeest per herd, though that number can get up to the millions in the rainy season. Ankole cattle have those gorgeous large horns. Inside those horns are going to be a series of blood vessels. Helps keep those cows nice and comfortably cool. Regulates their body temperature. It's almost like them carrying their own air conditioners on their heads 24/7. There's a honeycomb structure inside to keep that shape without weighing it down on the cow's head. A couple more wildebeest are hanging out there on the left-hand side, trying to find any shade they can. Now, 60% of a wildebeest's day is spent lounging around and grazing. The other 40% is them migrating. They're a little restless, so they will constantly be migrating around here. One of the creatures we can find as we're heading out into the tree line. You can see a couple of springbok as they're coming around the corner there on the right-hand side. Springbok are a very small antelope species. They can jump or spring up to 6 feet in the air. They're doing that again and again. It's known as pronging. You see an elephant just up ahead. Most likely this is going to be one of our males. Males will typically go off on their own once they reach maturity. They can't make herds above the millions, be known as a bachelor herd. Looks like you just got done with a bit of a bath. You really get to see a squeaky clean elephant. He's probably going to be starting to toss sand or dirt up on his back, adding an extra layer of protection or a sunscreen. A couple of monkeys there on the left-hand side hanging out in the trees. Now these are mandrill, largest of the monkey species. Male mandrill have bright red and blue facial markings, and they get brighter the more excited they get. They usually stay in troops about 100 or so very social creatures. Now let's see if we can get closer to this elephant. Looks like we went over to this little window here. Right in between that window. I can kind of see his ears peeking up on the other side. And we often see our elephants flapping their ears back and forth. They have pretty large ears and have some big ripples in those ears. Just a bunch of blood vessels. So essentially they're cooling off those blood vessels, getting about 15 degrees cooler just by flapping their ears back and forth. Now you probably heard the phrase, an elephant never forgets. It's very true. Our elephants are incredibly intelligent animals. In fact, And all our elephants on our reserve, they all know their names. So much so that I can come out with their names. They might try to come up to the truck though. As cool as that would be, I do not have any treats for them, and I do not want our giant elephant trunks to be inside the truck. They're very powerful trucks, having over 40,000 separate muscles in them. We can articulate those trunks in a variety of different ways, probably searching for some food if I were to call them. Now we're coming on into the red clay pits here. Elephants actually like to eat this red clay. You can see some there on the right hand side. There's been some test marks here. Oh, kind of scraping free in order to eat it a little bit easier. Kind of like a daily multivitamin for them. Also a pretty tasty treat. And despite their very large size, anywhere from 5,000 to 14,000 pounds, these guys are actually afraid of something very, very small. They're afraid of bees. They have very sensitive hearing. They actually really not too fond of that buzzing sound that bees make, nor do they like it when they swarm right around their faces, especially in their trunks, in very sensitive areas. So I don't blame them for not wanting to have bees here. But that does help us out quite a lot. We're able to keep our elephants in certain areas or keep them out of other areas that we don't want them to go. So we've used beehives or bee fences in certain places out in Africa, right around farmers' crops in particular. Not only was it successful keeping our elephants away, it added pollinators, which is great for those bee populations that were also dwindling. And farmers could then sell honey at their local markets, giving them a little extra income. So that shows that conservation is not strictly for our animals, it's also for us humans. Of course, we have a better relationship with our elephants because of it. We haven't had the best relationship in the past with poaching, habitat loss, and our relationship with our elephants has not been the best for the years. That doesn't mean things can't change. That's why we work with different conservation groups like the Elephants and Bees Project. And they have a goal to make sure that all these elephants are safe and sound, whether that be in our reserves or out in the wild. I go from our larger animals up here to some of our smallest ones. These are greater flamingo. Now, they're the latest species of flamingo. They get this color from the brine shrimp that they eat. Brine shrimp contains beta-carotene. They eat so much of it, literally turning themselves pink. So they take your should be very seriously. Another down part of our collection, yes, you go see a couple of ducklings in here. Still very, very cute. We got a lot of our local wildlife here too. A baby flamingo are just a little bit larger than those ducklings in fact, and they are nice, fluffy, dark gray colors. Not until they are about a year to year and a half old, they'll be this fully pink color, and just based on their diet. Coming on into another habitat called East Africa. There's a lot more tree cover out here, and some of our animals do like to hide a bit more. That even goes from our larger animals, and I'm seeing a couple of them there on the right hand side. We got some white rhinoceros. Now I do have a little baby out here. This is Milo. Milo is about almost an 8-month-old now. Now baby rhino will usually stay right by their mothers for the first 2 years of their life. Baby white rhino will usually stay right in front of their mothers, so that doesn't look like the case at the moment. Whereas black rhinos will usually follow their mothers from behind. Now they call them white rhino because of the shape of their mouth. It's got a very wide set mouth shape, perfect for a grazing animal. The Afrikaans name for wide is white. Sounds a lot like white, so just a translation error from Afrikaans into English. We call them the white rhino instead of the white rhino. Then we love our rhino babies. We've had 3 within 13 months of each other out here, so we're doing pretty good with our rhino breeding program, to say the least. Got some cheetah there on the left-hand side. I got 2 of them hanging out here. So this is a coalition or a whole group of them together. Now, cheetah are the fastest land mammals in the world, going from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just under 3 seconds. Top speed of 75 miles an hour. Now this not so little guy anymore. This is Ranger. He's one of the first of 3 rhino babies we've had on the reserve. He's almost about a year and a half already. Probably about 1,900 pounds there too.
Just 1,900.
So really, rhino babies are about 150 to 175 pounds when they're born. I'm seeing a couple more cheetah. They can sometimes hide in plain sight. I'm seeing some just there in the front of the truck there on the left-hand side. Those spots definitely help to break up the different colors of their coat. Sometimes I think they look like a big pile of leaves. Cheetah do not roar like other large cats. Instead, they use chirping sounds to communicate. And they're one of the only large cat species that is able to purr like a house cat. They have very different vocalizations. Now, sometimes you can find some of the large cats up here on our Kopi rocks. Now, we use the Kopi as a sunning rock, as well as a vantage point to look for prey. See a very large bird just up ahead there on the right. This is one of our ostrich. It's a nice light gray color. Males will be a much darker black. Now, this is a 200 to 300 pound bird. So we got another baby rhino up ahead. This is Logan. She's about a 5-month-old. She's a little bit more adventurous than her 2 older brothers. So definitely we're head starting into them too. Just hanging out with I believe that's Mama Candy. That's Ranger's mom. And Mama Lola. Some cute, adorable little babies here giving us a lot of trouble here in East Africa. But we absolutely love them. Wouldn't have been any other way. Looks like not much is up on the Kopi at the moment, but that's alright. Some of our predators don't like that heat that's coming off of the Kopi rocks. At least not too much of it. Sometimes they can be a little finicky when it comes to the weather or their surroundings. Sometimes you can find some other animals here in the burrows, and if not, I am seeing a couple of ostrich eggs just up ahead, as well as a bontabot. Definitely want to talk about him. Early 19th century almost lost an entire species called the bontabot. It's this animal right here on the right-hand side. Clearly we didn't. We only had 17 though at one point in history. Now we have over 3,500, so we're pretty grateful to have another one of these species hanging around. Yeah, it's got some ostrich eggs there on the right-hand side. Now, each one of those eggs about 2 to 3 pounds, the equivalent of about 24 chicken eggs, and a full-grown adult human can stand on one, and they will still not break. Yeah, that's a 200 to 300 pound bird that has to sit on those eggs in order to incubate them, and they do not want to crack underneath that weight. Some of our burrowing animals are either burrowing or out on the hunt there too. So we did see quite a few animals out here in East Africa though. Almost our entire rhino catch, I want to say. I can't forget about our wood's favorite critters. It looks like they are doing a lot of climbing out here today. It's going to be his Nigerian dwarf goats. They're primarily a milking goat from West Africa. They love to cause mischief at almost every turn. They do love to climb, and as long as you don't mind them climbing all over the place and being a tad bit destructive from time to time, it makes them wonderful companions. To stay in smaller environments, don't mind a little small patch of grass or two. They also don't need as much food as a larger goat species, so it's a little bit easier to maintain than them. And it's a really popular milking goat all around. Not only here, if we want to see some more Nigerian dwarf goats, definitely go check out Rafiki's Planet Watch. There's a whole affection section out there, a little petting zoo to go ahead and check out some goats, pigs, chickens, cows, donkeys, alpaca, things like that. That train you're hearing off in the distance. So it takes you behind the scenes of the Robert Wildlife Reserve. Now this reserve is quite large. It's over 110 acres. Now let's put that in perspective. Magic Kingdom is 107 acres. So essentially we're larger than Magic Kingdom out here. Just on the reserve. Actually all of Animal Kingdom can hold Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. Now we definitely couldn't do this without you all. What we do is a lot of conservation. We learn a lot more about our animals because of what we do out here on the reserve. And really, conservation starts with education. So the more that we learn, the more informed we are, how we can better help our animals and make better decisions because of it. If you want to learn more about our animals, we're doing a lot to help with animal conservation, especially if you want to do something with that knowledge. Like work with our different conservation groups out here. Now it looks like we're about to be parting ways here fairly shortly. But here at Harambe, we don't say goodbye. We say Kwaherini, which translates to go well in Swahili. And hopefully we see you guys again real soon. Or to go well on your other adventures up here today.